Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Sid Mickle Publications, and I'm Sid Mickle. For better or worse, that's what you get this afternoon. In the past few weeks, we've been talking about getting that first book started, having as much conversation as we can about some of the barriers that exist, and trying to just come up with some tips that will help you write your first book and write it as well as you possibly can. In the most recent video we did about writing and self-publishing your book, we talked about mistakes. And as I said then, well, I'll tell you, I have made so many of these classic mistakes that a lot of first-time authors and new authors do. The reason we talked about that is just the effort to try to prevent some of that mistake-causing lack of knowledge. I mean, you just don't know what you don't know. And if you know, we can help you get to the point where you're aware of some of the pitfalls and you can kind of skip through those things and get your book in shape and ready to be published and actually be a well-written and a very well-edited and good book that people are going to want to enjoy. You know, we talked a little bit about the editing process. We talked about the hook, that first page and that first chapter, really trying to get your reader to buy into your story and your book. And that's what we spent most of our time on last week. Today, we're going to do a fairly large departure from those things. And the reason we're going to do that is because of a little bit of a milestone for me personally. As I've said in the past, I have published 6 books. They are here before me. A Backwards Glance, Who Killed Glenna, Principles, If I Could Turn Back Time, The Class of 73, and the Chambers Academy Football Review. Those are the 6 previous books that I have published, and really happy to have those completed. I enjoy them. I enjoy writing them, and I enjoy reading them constantly. They weren't easy to write. Sometimes it wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be to write, but we got through a lot of those things, and I'm really proud of the work. I don't think there's one of these books that I would not make a little bit of a change to, but I'm pretty pleased with how they came out. And that conversation leads us to the subject of today's video. Yesterday, I managed to send book number 7 off to a professional editor for its final edit before self-publishing. If you've ever written a book, you know how that time frame is somewhat confusing in your mind. You know, we spent weeks and months writing the book, trying to make it the best book we could possibly come up with. You know, trying to link the characters and develop the characters and make sure the dates and the times and all the events made sense, and doing research to define terms and define everything that would connect this book and make it seem real and plausible, although it is a fictional story. You want it to appear to your readers as if it could have been. You want to draw them into that potentially real situation. Then, after you go through that amount of time and all the struggle of writing, and I say struggle time-wise and just getting yourself prepared and making sure you do all the things that you need to do, then you go back and you begin your own rewrites and your own self-edits. I think I talked last week about, in A Backwards Glance, how many times I went through the chapters, probably a dozen or more. And with every one of these books, that is the case. I always try to make sure that my own edit, you know, simple things like spell check, looking at punctuation, looking at, quotation marks around dialogue, trying to do all those things and make sure that that editor doesn't get bogged down with those kind of things. You spend a great amount of time, I think, over the course of the last 8 weeks, I have done the same thing. I have reviewed this thing. This time I broke it down chapter by chapter for the review. Instead of having one large book in a file that was, a little bit daunting, I had 17 different files, and I could focus on each one of those files. And it was like these miniature milestones as you got through them, and you finished another chapter, and you felt like the edit was good. you feel like you've really made some progress. And then yesterday, as I put the book back together in one manuscript form for the editor, I couldn't help it. I'm in there changing things and changing paragraphs and changing sentences and really doing more editing. And I got bogged down for a half a day, something like that, and I decided that I was really in good shape. I was going to trust my editor and send this thing off and get it underway. The book is called Kill 'Em All. It is the second in what I propose a 3-book series. The first being, of course, Who Killed Glenna. The second, Kill 'Em All, went out yesterday to the editor, as I said, and it's a bittersweet thing. You know, you send it and you know what's going to happen. Your editor is going to tear that book apart. That's their job. They're going to do everything they can to make that book the best book it can be. So there's a little anticipation of what you're going to get back, that first moment of opening the manuscript when it's returned and seeing all those edits and those red lines and the questions. It's a little tense. It's a little like makes you apprehensive, but you know it's the next step to having that conversation, working out the details. And as I said before, some of the time you just say, no, I'm not changing anything. It's going like this. And, you make that call because you're able to do it because your name's on the cover. That's the benefit of writing the book. At the end of all the review, your name is on it and you can call what goes into print. I'm really excited about having this book completed because I will tell you, just from feedback I've gotten and my own personal feeling about this book, I took an awful lot of time in writing this. I took an awful lot of time in tearing this book apart several times and trying to really do the best work I had ever done. Hopefully, you're going to think the same thing. Hopefully, my editor thinks the same thing. But from the people who have test read for me and from my own just kind of personal feelings, I think it's a good book. I think it's probably going to be the best writing I have done. The proof of that will be when we get it printed and we get it on Amazon Books and you guys decide. You decide if you want to buy that book and read it. It's always fun to finish a project like that because this book, Kill 'Em All, took over a year. I really had planned on pushing this book through by last fall. That was going to be my drop dead date. I thought last fall I had plenty of time. It would be ready. It would be a good book and get it out. You know, life happens. You get busy. We have a lot of things going on here at the farm, a lot of things going on with family. I do some broadcasting for our local high school, the YouTube football broadcast, along with a partner of mine. And we've been busy. We had a state championship to broadcast, and we do a coach's show, and we decided to do some other things for the school. And time gets away from you, and you realize, hey, I got a lot of work to do on this book. And like I usually do, once I'm lazy and I get myself behind the 8 ball on the calendar and I promise people I'm going to get the book out and I make those Facebook posts about when it's coming and I miss the deadline and I have to fess up to that and apologize and say, here, it's going to come now. Then you really get serious and you start focusing in on that book. And the way that I do it is when I get to that point and I know that I'm ready to finish that book and my mind is clear and I understand the story, all I've got to do is put it into print or put it down in the words of the story, tie it all together, and then go through the mechanical part of this, which of course is editing and covers and all that stuff that's really not a lot of fun. But you do it because it's important. You do it because who else is going to do it, right? You're the one who's going to publish this book. Well, with that being said, I will tell you I'll give you just a little bit about some timeline with this thing. I anticipate the book being with the editor because my editor is incredibly thorough. I don't know if that's because she's really incredibly good or I give her an awful lot of things to work on. More than likely, it's a combination of both, and certainly I make my share of mistakes in the writing part. But we'll go through our conversations, we'll go through our manuscript exchanges, and we'll reach a point where it's ready to go, and then we will sit down. I have a great friend who is a very computer literate guy, And he helps me get online and go through the KDP process and make sure that all the uploads are right and the cover is done well. And you get all the mechanical and technical things done with KDP Publishing. And I don't mean that to sound like it's an overtly daunting task. It really isn't. I think it's because I'm a little bit of one of those perfectionists about things. I stress out about it if it's just something doesn't seem right. I have to step back and think about it and either agree or make an adjustment. So, the perfectionists are always chasing that time, right? I think I've said this before. When you can't leave an email unopened, or you can't leave a file unmanaged. You're chasing time. You're trying to build up to this one great day when you have nothing to do. And you can just simply do what you want to do. For people like me who are just completely OCD and detail-oriented, you never get to that point. You're just always chasing it. So as I get older, I'm trying to carve out more and more of just the feeling of this is right, this is good, go with it. And that's where we are. We have reached that point with Kill 'Em All. It is the second, as I said, in a 3-book series. I have actually started book 3, brought one of the primary villains from Kill 'Em All forward to the 3rd book, and he will be a focus for the main characters and some of the characters that move forward into the 3rd book. From there, I don't know. I haven't decided if that's going to be the end of the main character. Sam Bennett is the main character, and his cast of cohorts, friends, and family. I have to think about that, and I have to get a feel for how book 3 goes, and if there are more stories out there, or if it's time to end that subject and that character and move on to something different. You never know. I set the goal of 3 books because I felt like that would be a really big challenge for me. But if I could accomplish that, I would be very satisfied with a 3-book series, and it would leave me the opportunity to go and do more of a series with another character or another subject matter. So we're going to determine how that works out in the next few months. I'll come back maybe next week and give you just a brief, short video about the progress with our editing, if there are some exchanges and some things going back and forth. I wish I had the cover here. I don't have it back yet. I think it's going to be an exciting cover. I think it's going to pop. So in the next few days and next few weeks, Kill 'Em All, book number 7 by Sid Mickle, will be available on Amazon Books, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. But I want to thank you all for taking the time to sit down and listen to this, watch this video and listen to me talk. I enjoy it. If you have any comments, please feel free to list them. If you have any questions, if you have anything that I can help you with, I am more than willing. I would love to talk to you. I get a few things back and forth sometimes, and I've developed some good exchanges, and hopefully I'm able to help some people with their writing. I would love to help you. If you'd like to join me and ask some questions, I'll be glad to do that for you. So until we meet again in the next week or so, thanks for tuning in, and look forward to Kill 'Em All, book 7 from Sid Mickle. Thank you guys for being here. Bye-bye.